Hey everybody, I'm back. And why? Well, before I went to bed, I thought I'd just read some of the comments. And right at the top is from a healthcare worker. And then I realized they need me now more than ever, or they need a plan on how to manage the stress. Because let's just be honest, they're in war. And it's from Chris, who said, "Thank you, Dr. Amen, for doing the live sessions. I work for the VA on an acute care floor. What can healthcare workers do to control our stress in this difficult time? Many of us are facing exhaustion, going longer hours, and working more days to keep up with the ever-changing healthcare environment demand. We are facing chronic stress. I'd really appreciate you providing teaching on what we can do to stay brain healthy." Okay, so let's talk about this. And I will try to spend more time directly talking to my colleagues. I don't know if many of you know, I was an infantry medic. And so I understand the mindset of war. And then after I got out of the Army, went to medical school, and then I went back in and I did my psychiatric training at the Walter Reed Army Medical Center in Washington, D.C., and then was the chief psychiatrist at Fort Irwin in the middle of the Mojave Desert, where we trained soldiers to fight the Russians in the desert. And I think from an Army psychiatrist, learning how to manage stress in wartime is just really important. And number one, you have to take care of yourself. Because if you don't take care of yourself, then you're not going to be good to take care of other people. It's not selfish. It's critical. The most loving thing you can do for other people is to love and take care of yourself. And in a wartime, we didn't teach soldiers to ignore their feelings. We taught them how to deal with their feelings. So when you're anxious, when you're afraid, being part of the team was really important. In fact, when people had a mental breakdown, we learned in a war that don't put them in a psychiatric hospital and let them stay there for months, because then they'll become sort of a permanent psychiatric patient. Is give them rest, let them sleep, take them away, but for days, and then send them back so that they could be with their fellow soldiers. Otherwise, they would end up feeling so guilty that they would really have a much harder time long term. So let us admit this is a terrible time. It's a stressful time, but it's a time where we're needed more than ever before. And in mental health care, the same thing is true. Now, my wife, Tana, is a neurosurgical ICU nurse, and I read her Chris's comment, and she said, "We got no training. We got no training on how to keep our brains and our minds healthy during this chronically stressful time." And so let me give you some strategies to use. And the first one is just admit this is stressful. So own it. But don't let the stress overwhelm you if you can. And it's critical if people go, "Dr. Amen, what's the number one strategy?" Sleep. It's, if you can get 7.5, 8 hours of sleep, just make it a priority. Because when bad things happen to us during the day, It's actually during sleep that our mind can piece it together, help us make sense of it, so we can go on the next day. In my new book, The End of Mental Illness, I talk about the bright mind strategy. If you want to keep your brain healthy or rescue it if it's headed to the dark place, you have to prevent or treat the 11 major risk factors that steal your mind. And we know what they are. So, for example, B is for blood flow. Low blood flow is the number one brain imaging predictor of Alzheimer's disease. It's also associated with depression and schizophrenia and ADHD. Boost blood flow. How? Exercise. So what does that mean? Take the stairs when you can. Wear a Fitbit. I wear this thing all the time except in the shower. And it just reminds me, walk. Walk like you're late. Do it as often as you can just to keep up with exercise and boosting blood flow to your brain. So, for example, every morning I have a huddle with my teams at Amen Clinics, and I do them while I'm walking. I mean, we're in lockdown here in Southern California, and so I probably walk 3 or 4 miles just in that 45-minute meeting time. So sleep, exercise, you have to have stress management techniques. Prayer is really good. Free on Amazon is the electronic version of my book, Stones of Remembrance. So the next week or 2 weeks maybe, if you just go to Amazon, you can download the Kindle version for free. And there are verses, for example, and I think for healthcare workers, and it doesn't matter what religion you are, this is just wisdom that can be helpful. So there are verses, 12 verses each for when you're anxious, afraid, depressed, happy, experiencing doubt, lonely, sick, angry, need strength, when you're tired, when you need hope. So let me go to 79, because I think need strength would be really good. From 1 Corinthians 16:13, be on guard, stand firm in the faith, be courageous, be strong. Or Deuteronomy from the Old Testament, the Lord your God is going with you. He will fight for you against your enemies, and he will give you victory. So download that for free. My publisher was able to do that to help those of us in need. And if scripture's not your thing, meditate. And meditation I particularly like is called loving kindness meditation. It's where you direct intention to yourself, to those you love, to those you're neutral on, to those you're negative about, and to the whole world. It's really powerful. I think loving kindness meditation was posted on my Instagram at doc_Amen. Meditation can be really helpful as well. And then this is the time to get your thinking as clean and as clear as it can be. This is, I treat a number of Olympic athletes and professional football players. This is a time to not only discipline your body, but also to discipline your mind. And hospitals are just not a place of health, especially brain health. They're places of illness. Just go to the cafeteria. So disciplining your mind, which is you need to edit the thoughts that go in your head. Don't believe every stupid thing you think. This is never going to end. No, that's wrong. This is going to end. I'm going to die. Odds are, even if you get the virus, you're not going to die. In fact, herd immunity is what you hear all the scientists talk about, and a significant number of people get the virus but don't have any symptoms or have very mild symptoms. So the truth is one of the most important things to tell yourself. Whenever you feel sad or mad or nervous or out of control, write down what you're thinking. And then just ask yourself if it's true. If you know with 100% certainty it's true. So I call them ants, automatic negative thoughts. One of my live chats, I read Captain Snout and the Superpower Questions, my book for kids on how to kill the ants. Captain Snout, yes, it's an anteater. Teaches you the superpower questions like, is it true? Can I absolutely know that this is true? It's really powerful not to believe every stupid thing you think. And it's funny, you think they would teach you this in second grade. They don't. Isn't that interesting? I didn't actually learn it until I was in my psychiatric training, and I learned a form of psychotherapy called cognitive behavior therapy. And therapy is just more fun to talk about. So sleep, exercise, some form of stress reduction. And when you're on the ward and you feel like your brain is going to explode and you're really anxious and nervous and tired, I'm going to give you a very simple stress management technique. And I when I worked in the emergency room, used it a lot. And that is, I want you to start getting control of your breathing. It's so simple. You hear it all the time, but it's very powerful, very important. So here's what I want you to do. Take a deep breath. Do it with me. So 3 seconds. Hold it for a second. And then I want you to take 6 seconds to breathe out. And then hold it out for a second. And then another deep breath. Hold it just for a second. And then 6 seconds to breathe out. You do that 10 times, it triggers a parasympathetic response in your body, which means a relaxation response in your body, and it will help you so much. Kill the coffee. To try to stay awake, use green tea. Why? Green tea has theanine in it. Theanine it helps you focus and it relaxes you at the same time. So I'm a huge fan of this supplement theanine. We actually have it in everyday stress relief and GABA calming, 2 of the supplements that we make. We have a new supplement for sleep called Put Me to Sleep. I love that name. I had to fight my team to get that name. And it's just so good. And theanine is one of the ingredients. So no, for healthcare workers, being anxious, normal. Feeling chronic stress, you bet. And unfortunately, chronic stress can get after the memory centers and the mood centers in your brain. So you have to have a stress management practice. So, appropriate anxiety, really important. The don't worry, be happy people die the earliest from accidents or preventable illnesses. So, appropriate anxiety. Know the truth. So get the facts from reputable sources. Turn off the 24/7 news. That's not going to help you. So I like Johns Hopkins. I like the CDC and the Mayo Clinic's websites. You want to avoid just having your eyes on your phone every free minute. because there's a lot of clickbait out there, and you don't want to have a herd mentality. Yes, we want herd immunity, but not a herd mentality. So I tell my patients, limit the news to like 30 minutes twice a day. And then other than that, get your mind focused on other things, because where you bring your attention will determine how you feel. And even though at home we're told to physically isolate, we're not told to totally isolate. It's really important. Stay connected to your support group. Kill the ants, as we talked about. Whenever you feel sad, mad, nervous, or out of control, write down what you're thinking. Start to keep a journal. And what I do is I start every morning, because trust me, it's been stressful. I have 8 clinics around the country. We have 250 employees. We have about 7,000 patient visits a month. The whole world is just turned upside down. And, we're meeting a lot and talking a lot, but I still start every day. It's on the top of my to-do list with this little phrase: today is going to be a great day. Why do I do that? Because then my mind will find why it's going to be a great day. Now, I also know it's going to be a stressful day, but where I bring my attention determines how I'm going to feel that day. So I start the day every day with today is going to be a great day, and I finish every day with what went well today. So before I go to bed in a little bit, I'm going to say a prayer, read something from Stones of Remembrance, and then I just say to myself, what went well today? And so many things. I was up at 5 o'clock this morning. I filmed Christian Broadcasting Network with Pat Robertson, and that was fun, but I lost sleep over that. But then I had a great conversation with my niece. Tana made an amazing dinner. What went well today? And find 3 things, because what that does is it actually sets your dreams up to be more positive, and you need REM sleep, dream sleep, because it really helps you process what happened during the day. Okay, we talked about killing the ants, these simple, tiny habits. Today's going to be a great day. What went well today? Whenever you feel sad, mad, nervous, or out of control, write down your thoughts, kill the ants. And the mother tiny habit, and in the end of mental illness, there's all sorts of tiny habits. But the mother tiny habit is whenever I go to do something, so I'm a healthcare worker, I'm stressed, I can't sleep. So I have choices that I can smoke a joint, I can drink alcohol, watch pornography. All of those things drop frontal lobe function. So helps you feel better in the short run, but worse in the long run. And so the question I want you to ask yourself, the little tiny 3-second tiny habit, is this good for my brain or bad for it? And if you love yourself, you're going to start choosing things that are good for you rather than bad for you. So yes, you can have, 2, 3, 4 glasses of alcohol, or you can do a loving kindness meditation, or you can send a note to someone that you appreciate. Because the research says writing down 3 things you're grateful for every day can be very helpful to boost your mood in as little as 3 weeks. But I actually like appreciation better. Who can you appreciate today that will make your team at work stronger? And I want you to notice what you like more than what you don't like. When you're quarantined, when you're home and you can't do anything, be active. Read. Learn something new. Art, comedies. Comedies have been actually shown to help your immune system. There's a great book, and I think it's one of the reasons I became a psychiatrist. It was called The Anatomy of an Illness, from Norman Cousins, who had a severe autoimmune disorder, but by watching 500 hours of comedies, he strengthened his immune system and his illness eventually went away. So comedies can be really helpful. And ask for help. Let me just say this really clearly. It's the strong person that asks for help. It's not the weak person. Now, I don't know if you were the person in class who, when you didn't understand something, you raised your hand. That's the smart person. When you just hide because you don't want to look stupid, that's not the smart person. The smart person, the smartest people I know, work with the smartest people they know. So if you're struggling, if you're drinking too much, if you're not sleeping, if you're worrying, if you can't let go of the bad thoughts, ask for help. That is a sign of strength, not weakness. So I hope this is helpful. I'm going to be much more cognizant of helping our fellow helpers because I'm just so grateful to you. You are the first responders in this war. We did a podcast yesterday with Kelly Vlahakis from Earth Friendly Products. They make the Ecos brand of cleaning products in the store. And I'm like, oh, you make the bullets for the war. You make the bullets for the war. But, now it's not the Marines. It's the medics that are the first responders in this COVID-19 pandemic. I'm so grateful for you, and I appreciate you, and whatever I can do to be helpful, I want to. So leave your comments, questions, and concerns, and I will be back very soon. Take care.